Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this Hangout Earn More with Mobile. My name is Ajay. I work as the Partner Monetization Specialist. Today, I'm being joined by Shruti, who manages the channel partner business, and our two channel partners, Readware and Cybermedia. Today's agenda, we will be talking about native ads, mobile best practices, AMP, and mobile optimization tips. So, jumping straight into it, native ads. Native ads will drive 74% of all ad revenue by 2021. So if you look at the Business Insider review for native ads, it says by 2021, 74% of all US display revenue is going to be native. Right now, 56% of the rev display revenue in the US is native, which means that native advertising is clearly the future for display business, and this is where all the growth is going to come from. Growth of native digital display is being driven by publishers' pursuit for higher value and more mobile-friendly inventory, as well as advertisers' demand for more engaging and less intrusive ads. Native ads not only give you a good opportunity in terms of revenue, but the user experience is the bigger draw to implement native ads. Native ads are more mobile friendly, and native ads are the future for all of the display advertising business. So this is why we think this is an important topic, and we would like to walk you through our native offerings that we are providing from AdSense. AdSense native product suite. So we have three native ads that we provide from AdSense. One is the in-feed native, the in-article native, and the matched content. As we've covered in our previous sessions, we've spoken in depth about each of these formats and the use cases that they carry. Today, we're going to share best practices about how you can implement them, what you can expect in terms of performance, and what are the best ways you can use native ads. AdSense native offering. So, as we mentioned already, native products for publishers for who want more efficient way to create and implement native ads across their mobile, tablet, and desktop devices. Native ad formats match the look and feel of the site, providing a better user experience, are one of the fastest growing segments of the ad formats, and advertisers are allocating more of their ad spend to native formats. So this is where we will implement the native, and this is the different flows where you can see the native being implemented. One is in the browsing flow, one is in the immersion, and one is for continued engagement. So this is where all three of our different native offerings come into play, and we will go more in depth as to how you can use them and where you can get the most benefit out of them. So as you can see from this example, we have in-feed native, the in-article native, and the matched content. As you can see, they blend in with the background. They're non-intrusive. They come with a great call to action button, which means that they have great CTR, and they look great on your pages, and they provide for a great user experience. As you can see, native in-feed and in-article is available to all publishers. Matched content is eligible publishers. So in-feed native is an additional option that you can have to monetize your feed, and I know that the feed is very customized and it changes from publisher to publisher. So make sure that you optimize your in-feed flow, and you can use this in-feed ad option in your feed. The next is we have the in-article option, which is basically you can have it in the article space, and it comes with a great call to action. And as you can see from this example, it is very less, it is not at all intrusive, and it works really well. Matched content is our product to help you increase engagement and retention, which means that we don't want people who are coming to your site to leave your site and go to another site. So matched content can really help people stay back in your site and see articles and content on your site that they previously would not have seen. It is very easy to implement, as you can see, and as most of you are already aware. Select the ad you want on the site, configure the ads, size, type, color, etc. Copy and paste the piece of code on the site where you want it. One of the things that I would like to call out is, in your ad space where you are going to implement the native, please make sure that you customize it as much as possible. It is a very responsive design. You can drag and drop the template, it will adjust to the screen size. Make sure to add padding, make sure to choose a nice font, make sure that the font syncs with the background of your page, and this will really help you make the most out of the native offering, because it is automated to a large extent, but you should be creative and make sure that you make it blend with your page to get the most out of it. Now, going deeper into AdSense in-feed native, benefits of in-feed native ads. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a new ad placement, which means it's incremental inventory. This is not taking away from any existing inventory that you have. So you don't have to worry about changing any ads. If you have a feed, you can put the in-feed native ads there. Better experience for users and more effective ads for advertisers. As you can see, in-feed native ads are the most customizable of all the three options that we have, and we highly recommend using it. It might not be relevant for all of the publishers, but we really recommend going through and using the in-feed ads. It's highly customizable with visual editing. At the end of this session, we will share the implementation guide on how to use the in-feed ads as well. AdSense in-article native. Benefits of the in-article native ads are optimized by Google to ensure that they perform well on your article pages. As you know, we have an option called global display present when you're creating the native in-article ads, which means that AdSense will decide to either serve a high performance banner ad or an in-article native ad based on what is in the auction. So you can be rest assured that it will make sure that your article ads perform really well. And one thing that we would like to call out is that the user experience that you get from implementing native ads can go a long way in improving retention. And as you all know, if you improve retention, that's where you can get your true earnings from. And the additional opportunity to monetize your long form content. So if you have a lot of long form content, please make sure to use in-article native ads. They look very similar to the 300 plus 250 banner ads, but they come with a great call to action, great message, and very rich. Please make sure to use the in-article native. And the last is the AdSense matched content. The benefits of the matched content are so many. One of the great tips that I can share with you is always take your lowest performing ad unit on your page and change the lowest performing ad unit that is only contributing to say 5% of your revenue, and change that low performing ad unit into a matched content. Matched content looks great on mobile, it looks great on desktop, but when you change the lowest performing ad unit into a matched content, what you're doing is you're making people go to other pages on your site, which means that the ads on the other pages are going to perform well, which means that the match content will make sure that you get more and more page views. And once you get more and more page views, you will get more retention. And once you get more retention, your bounce rate will reduce, and this will ultimately lead to more revenue. From matched content itself, directly, you might not get as much revenue, but the key purpose of match content is to make sure that you drive retention, and it's make sure that the user never leaves your website. So these are some of the best practices to look at AdSense in-feed and in-article ads. So AdSense native ads are easy to create and customizable and match the look and feel of your page. The best practice is applicable for both. We would like to reiterate that the in-feed ad is far more customizable than the in-article ad. So make sure that you make the most out of it. And we understand that every publisher's feed is very unique, but generally having a layout that can properly accommodate advertiser asset will give you the best performance. So make sure that you are thinking about how an advertiser would want his ad to look in your feed, and take that into consideration when you're making it, because this will go a long way in determining your performance. A good in-feed ad will be largely determined by how well suited the feed is for the native asset. So I think that these are some things that you need to keep in mind. Make sure that the customization is completely in your hands. So you need to make sure that you make the the most out of the given options that you have. Make sure that it blends in really well, and make sure that you think about it from an advertiser perspective as how they would want their ads to appear on the feed. So we're going to jump into some successful practices from AdSense native. So over here, as you can see, this is some of the sites that that are using the native in feed, and also contain images. As you can see, it looks great. It looks great on the feed. The performance is good and contains images as well. So please make sure to think about these implementation. All of these ads look great on mobile. The experience is great. They load really fast, and they will give you a great user experience. So make sure to select the right elements for your ad. Use 1:1 image instead of the landscape image if your feed is 1:1 image. And we will also share more details around what kind of images, how you can customize the padding, what is the layout, how the outline will work, and all of that stuff as well. Match the fonts and color in your ads with the surrounding content. I think this is very important. This applies both to in feed and in article, because you don't want the font to look out of place. You don't want the color to be, standing out. So make sure that you match the font, you match the color, and make sure that the call to action button is clearly called out, so that it looks great in terms of user experience and visual appeal. So this is one of the key things after our last session that we wanted to reiterate this time is, please do not replace your high-performing banner ads with your AdSense native ads. Keep your high-performing banner ads, and additionally, take the second or third ad on your page and replace them with your native in-article ads, because we are not trying to compete with the banner ads. We're trying to improve the user flow. We're trying to improve the user experience, and we're trying to give you great click-through rates, which means that your high-performing banner ad is still going to drive most of your revenue, and then you have the native ads. So please, this is a big thing that we'd like to call out, and one of the things that we'd like to reiterate on repeatedly, which is make sure to keep your high-performing banner ads, and then along with it, keep your AdSense native ads. So publishers should create a new AdSense native ad and add them as an incremental ad unit on the page. This will help ensure the best eCPM performance. And I know eCPM is important to all of the publishers, so please make sure to implement it this way. And later on in the session, we will talk a lot more about mobile optimization and mobile ads as well. Matched content overview. So match content is a native advertising format from AdSense. As we've said, with match content, publishers can earn revenue through natively styled ads, improve reader retention by increasing page views and time spent on the site. As you know, nowadays we have a lot of options where people, try to move away from the site really quickly, and they don't get to consume all the amazing content that you guys are putting together. Match content is a great way to make sure that people stay in your page and they spend more and more time in your page. As I said earlier, take the lowest performing ad unit that you have, replace the lowest performing ad unit with matched content. Once you replace the lowest performing ad unit with matched content, what will happen is you are monetizing that space with the ads in the matched content, but you are doing a far better thing by making sure that the user clicks through the match content, goes to other pages on your site where the other ads will start performing. Please make sure to do this. We have seen great success for publishers who have implemented this and changed their lowest performing unit to matched content. As you can see, it looks beautiful on mobile. And as you can see, these are the natively styled ads. You can earn revenue over there. It gives you great links to your pages. So links from your site will appear within the unit, and links generate to match user interest and based on recency, relevancy, and popularity. So there's a lot of intelligence that goes into what comes up in your matched content. So please make sure to utilize this option, because re-engagement and retention is really important, because the amount of time spent on your site is directly proportional to how much revenue you will be making. So as you can see, these are the implementation best practices that we have for match content. That's where on mobile that you can implement it at the end of the article, and desktop if you want to go for a horizontal or a vertical view. Ideally, it looks great both on desktop and mobile, so we would recommend using it as mentioned in this example over here. As I mentioned earlier, it looks great on desktop too. So now, looking at some of the before and after, and how some of the publishers in other markets have used native ads. So if you can see before, you can see clearly this is a standard banner ad and how that looks in terms of flow and look at it after. From an advertising perspective, think about how much information the advertiser is able to put in terms of his ad, and what are the quality of the images that he's able to put in the native ad. So as you can see, this is the reason why by 2021, 74% of all of the global display spend is going to be native. So you want to make sure that you're making the most out of this and get a first mover advantage and make sure you have this implemented. Again, I cannot stress on how important it is to not replace your high performing banner with native, but to add this as an additional. So this is one of the publishers who implemented native ads, and this is how much their revenue has improved. Guys, one of the things that I want to take some time to discuss over here is you have the customization in your hands, which means that it is up to you to make sure that the font matches the surroundings, the color matches the surroundings, the padding is good, the call to action button is great, and if you do all of these things, you will see definite improvements in your revenue. Also, we'd like to emphasize that native ads does give you great revenue, but we would also like you to think about the value that you're getting about from a user experience perspective. If you see viewability movement after native ads implementation is basically 8% increase in viewability in September in comparison with July before the implementation of native ads. So as all of you know, viewability is very, very important. And as you can see, native ads give you great viewability, and you know that great viewability means high CPMs, and you know high CPMs means lots of revenue. So make sure that your active viewable rate is always high, and make sure that you use the native in article and the in feed to drive this metric up. And again, position the ads well, position them within the article, match them to the surroundings, and don't replace the high performing banner with the native ad, add them as an incremental ad unit. So this is an interesting slide that we wanted to show you. Though you can see that the CPC of the native ad did decline, but one of the things, as you can see, is how much the CTR has improved, which means that if you plan your strategy well and if you implement the, the banner ad on mobile, and then you have an additional native ad, the native ad can really help drive CTR, and banner ad will give you a great amount, great CPC. So as you can see, the CPC is increasing towards the end, but we want you to think about native ads as more than just, you know, CTR and CPC. It is more for user experience and how much better you can make the quality of your site. Implementation guide. So we will be sharing this information with you. As all of you know, you can sign into your account, select the native match content, use drop downs, you can choose the eligible sites, and you know, style and customize based on how much you want. So moving on, I think the great option that we have is the live preview in terms of matched content, where you can just go see the site that you have and see how the match content is going to look and feel. Please make sure to customize it as much as you can, and make sure that you reach out to us if you want any of your sites to be whitelisted for matched content. Use simple options to customize the UI, URL, content titles, background, font. We will share all of these additional resources with you on how to place your in-feed ad code, setting the height of your in-feed ad, tracking the performance of the in-feed. What does Google optimized mean? Google optimized is basically making sure that the best performing unit is showing up at all given time, because if there is a high performing banner, even if you opt for a native, and if AdSense sees that there is a high performing banner, the high performing banner will be placed ahead of the native ad. So you don't have to ever worry about your CPMs, because the AdSense auction will take care of that for you. I think this is a very interesting segment we're going to get into, and we have spoken about this several times in the past as well, as why mobile. As all of you know, mobile is where all the growth is at, and mobile is where all the traffic is at. I know a lot of you over the last couple of years who have been publishing with us have seen how much mobile traffic has been growing, and this is why we want to emphasize on why it is so important to have a mobile specific strategy and to focus more and more on mobile. So here's some metrics for you if you want to see. So 2017, this is the mobile landscape worldwide, and you can see what the mobile market is going to be in 2021. And if you look at India especially, 85% is the growth on mobile ad spend. And this can show you that why it is so important for you to always focus on mobile and make sure that you keep a mobile first strategy, and make sure that you take all of these options that you have in terms of native, in terms of banner, in terms of AMP, PWA, viewability, and make sure that you're really capturing all this growth and making the most out of it. One of the key things that I would like to talk to you at this point is we are in the towards the end of the year where seasonality is very, very important. Make sure that you make the most out of seasonality, because this is in these 3 months we have the most amount of advertising spend that is coming through, which means that we have a lot of public holidays, a lot of sales, a lot of festivals that are coming up. So please make sure that you make the most out of the seasonality. Make sure that your content is good, your content is clean, policy compliant, and make sure that you're getting in all this good CPMs that you can leverage from the seasonality that is happening over the next 2 months. As you can see over here, built for a multi-screen view. As you can see the example over here, it's very good to always be consistent with how the site looks on your desktop, but please make sure that this is very, very important and very basic at this point. You cannot not have a mobile optimized site or a mobile specific site, because that's where users are going to see your site first, even before they open it on desktop. It's no longer the case that people see it on desktop and come to mobile. They see it on mobile and then go to desktop. So make sure that your mobile site leaves a lasting impression. And as you can see, make sure that you have good space on top for branding your site, so that there's a lot of brand recall that goes into it. So best practices for building your mobile friendly site, as you can say, make it easy for users, test your site, make it fast and consistent. We cannot emphasize on how important page speed is. Page speed equals money. 74% of people say that they're more likely to return to a site that is mobile friendly. So if you don't have a mobile friendly site, I think that this should be something that you do today, because there is no more time for unfriendly mobile sites. You have to have a mobile site. Our partners will talk to you more about the AMP and PWA stuff later on in the session as well. Please make sure that you make the most out of that. So maximize every opportunity. Ads designed specifically for mobile users. This is very, very important. Ads need to be specifically designed. As you can see on the left and right, we have two examples. Both work really well. We have announced last time in our session as well, there is a policy change. You can have ads above the fold right now. You can have 300 cross 250 above the fold. But what we would say is make sure that 50% of your ad is viewable in every view screen. So in every view screen on your mobile, 50% of the ad needs to be viewable, be it 300 cross 250, be it native, because then your viewability is going to go up. So potential eCPM increase when you swap 300 cross 250 with 320 cross units, peak above the fold for great user experience while maximizing your revenue potential. One of the things that we'd like to call out as well is that it's very, very important to think about, people who will be on desktop as well. Desktop and tablet, you can think about it from a responsive perspective. But I would definitely say, going back to this slide, 300 cross 250 is one of the best performing ad units on mobile. It gives you great performance, great CPMs, and it works well with on mobile. I would say make sure that all your units, especially the above the fold peak unit that you're using, where 50% of the ad is seen, make sure that is 300 cross 250. Make sure that you have mobile specific sizes, and make sure that you're making the most out of the mobile growth that is coming into India at the moment. This is responsive sizes. This is for both mobile, desktop, and tablet. These are some of the sizes that you can use, but this is more for tablet and desktop. We would still advise you to make mobile specific sizes. So before I move on to passing it on to our partners, I'd like to reiterate, make sure that you try the native in-article ad, make sure that you implement the native in-feed, and additionally, 300 cross 250, 50% of your ad needs to be viewed in every view screen. So which means that 50% of your ad has to be always visible every time you're seeing your mobile phone. Over after this, I'm going to pass it on to Shruti, who is in charge of the channel partner team. I hope you found this useful, and we will be sending you all the content. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the session. Take it away, Shruti.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Ajay.
Ajay.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
everyone.
I'm Shruti, and I'm a channel partnerships manager based out of India. As you must be aware, we designed the Google Certified Publishing Partner Program to help publishers like you with our suite of monetization products. Our partners go through a series of trainings by the Google team to support you with monetization, and they also provide services that extend beyond it. Today, we have our GCPPs, Cyber Media, and Readware in the room who will be covering topics we have heard maximum questions around from publishers. Readware will tell you how you can implement AMP on WordPress sites and monetize it. Cyber Media will speak to you about viewability and provide tips around improving it. I'll hand it over to Webber from Readware now.
Thanks, Shruti. Hello, everyone. My name is Vaibhav, and I am from Readway team. Today, we'll be discussing the best practices of AMP in the WordPress and how to monetize it, and how user-first pages, that is AMP, are very important for the mobile web. Next. We all know that WordPress is a very powerful platform, which is powering 74.6 million websites around the globe. And also around 37 million searches are made for WordPress-related keywords. These numbers gives us a rough idea of the WordPress CMS and its reach around the world. Since we all know how MP has changed the world of mobile web search, and it became important that we integrate it with the WordPress CMS and with all the best practices. Since we are celebrating second year anniversary of AMP project, and the numbers are unbelievable. Over 4 billion AMP pages have been published, and over 25 million domains have adopted AMP. Isn't it great? In the span of 2 periods, we have grown to this number. Next. On an average, 2x more time is spent on AMP pages, and it derives 20% increase in the conversions, and this keeps on growing. This shows us how emerging technologies are helping us to grow more, either in the sense of revenue and also in the sense of experience. Next. So today we'll be covering the best practices of enabling AMP on the WordPress in very simple steps, starting from installing the plugins to optimizing the page speed and suggesting the ad placements. Next. So first step is to install AMP plugin from WordPress store. AMP plugin from Automatic is one of the recommended plugin which is available as it is from the same organization which power WordPress. So there are lots of other plugins available to help, which can help to manage your AMP pages that you can browse and choose based on your user ratings and feedbacks. Next. The AMP plugin which you have installed will automatically generate AMP compatible versions to all your posts. So which you can view by appending /amp in the end of your URL. So let's say you're having any URL. So your URL will be uh, your domain.com/slug of the post, and you can append /amp in the end of the URL, and you can view your AMP page. Next. So when your AMP plugin has been installed, you can layer on additional plugins in order to gain, in order to add more features to your AMP page. There are, host of plugins available on the WordPress store. We'll be talking about these two. The first is AMP for WP, Accelerated Mobile Pages. This plugin will help you to include Google AdSense integration, because that's very important. We have to monetize it in the end. Plus, it will provide you the support of canonical tag. So canonical tag support is something which links your AMP page with your original page. So that's how these two pages communicate with each other. Next is Glue for Yoast SEO and AMP. This is a very popular plugin in the sense of SEO, but here it will also help you to allow your pages, post, and media and make them AMP compatible. So the publishers who are working on WordPress may be aware of that we face a lot of problems in sense of pages and posts, and this plugin will surely help you to make both of them AMP compatible. Next. So analytics is a very important part of any task. So never forget to add analytics to an AMP page. This is very simple. You just go to the plugin, go to the AMP settings, and enter your Google Analytics ID in the box, and we are done. Next. Now, it became very important to configure what plugins we have added and configure our AMP pages as well. So as we already discussed, AMP Yoast SEO plugin which we have installed, you can see on the right hand side there's a screen available. So from here you can configure the plugins. You can enable your post, your pages, your media, and different type of content type you're having. Let's say you're having recipes, entertainments, or anything, and you can convert them into AMP from here as well. You can make any whole page AMP compatible. Let's say if you're having your home page which consists of number of posts, and you want to make it compatible from here, you can make it from this plugin. Also, this plugin enables you to play with the design as well of your page, so you can add the logo, change the header color and other UI resources. There are lots of configuration available in this as well. Next. Now, when we have created our AMP URLs, it's important to ensure they are working properly. So, because there are lots of publishers who enable their AMP through the plugins, and now when they complain that our AMP pages are not coming properly your inside the Google search. So the reason behind that is when we enable the AMP, there are lots of customizations, and there are lots of guidelines which AMP project provides us, and we have to take care of all of those things, and to make sure that all the errors and flags are fixed, and then only our page will come inside the Google search. So it became very important to test and validate your AMP pages, and we'll be discussing about three options how you can test and validate your AMP pages. Next. So option one is AMP test. You can go to this URL, search.google.com/test/AMP, and you can drop in your URL over there, and you can run the test, and you can see the results. Next. Second is a developer console. This is one of the initial method which AMP has provided. So in this, what you have to do, you have to open your console panel, and you have to append hash development is equal to 1 in the end of your URL. And in the console panel, you can see the status of your page. Next. Third is AMP validator. This is a very one of the very useful tool which ampproject.org has provided us. You can go to this tool, copy and paste your URL over there, validate it, and this URL this product will show you the errors or the flags which has been missing. Plus, you will get an idea of how to fix it from here only. Next. Now, this is now we have when we are creating our AMP pages. This becomes very important that we submit our pages to Google for indexing. So how you can do it? When we are testing our pages, we already gone to this page, to this tool where we validate our AMP pages. So while validating our AMP pages, if our AMP page is validated and it's having no errors, then you can submit it to to Google from here only. And this is very important. Like for there are lots of cases which came across, like a publisher who's having a post whose post is up in SEO or getting a lot number of clicks or lot number of impressions. Then he wants that page's AMP page to be indexed inside the Google search, so that you can handle it from here only. Next. Now, when we have in the previous step, we discussed how we can submit individual pages to the index. Now, how to submit all the pages which we have made to Google search. So just log into your search console panel, go to accelerated mobile pages section, and get started with the AMP. So as soon as you press this button, the bot will come to your site again, and it will index all the AMP pages which are getting dynamically generated to the search or to the index. Next. Now, once we have completed the above, it's now time to see the benefits of the efforts. So run your AMP and standard mobile pages through page speed tool like web page test, which we use to test our generic pages to the standard mobile page. Because up to a level Google provides AMP caching, but it's very important that our page loads very fast. So test it over there and compare the results of your AMP page with the standard mobile page, and make sure your AMP page loads in less time than your standard mobile page. Next. However, WordPress has made content delivery very simple and user friendly, but still we face certain difficulties while integrating new technologies with it. Hence, we have a different and a better solution, which is Readware Complete Mobile Solution to provide your user a perfect user journey. A perfect user journey is a combination of AMP plus PWA. PWA stands for Progressive Web App. So, in this perfect user journey, the first user page loads as an AMP, and the next page loads as an PWA. So that's how user get a seamless, very fast experience of browsing through your content. Next. A perfect user journey is attained with the help of feature of both technologies. EMP has instant delivery, optimized discovery. There's no user scripts used inside that, and it's having static content. On the other hand, PWS has lots of advanced features. It's highly dynamic and easily embedded. Generally, a PWA has a slower first delivery, but we got it covered as we install the service workers as soon as your AMP page loads. So on a parallel line, a service worker is a JS file which help us to perform a lot of actions on PWA and perform a lot of caching. That's how progressive web apps loads very fast on the mobile devices. So that's how with the combination of both AMP features and the PWA features, we are providing our users a perfect user journey. Next. Now, when we are done with the AMP pages, it's very important to follow the best practices for the monetization, and we'll be discussing in the coming slides. Next. So we'll covering in three parts. First is placement and controls, and how to optimize our ad placements. So first is create separate ad units for your AMP page. Create separate ad units. Keep them different from your generic one so that you can track well. Plus, you'll be getting a better idea, and plus those ad units, as Ajay has explained, you can we will use native ads a lot inside our AMP pages. Second is place the same number of ads as the original page. That means placement should be same in your AMP page and in your generic page as well. So first of all, that will help, aid in your revenue. Second, it will give the user experience of a parallel page to the user. Third is place the first ad immediately below the first viewport. That means the fold. That means ad should be visible in the first viewport of your mobile. Like what you can see in the right hand side in the device, we have placed an ad just below the heading of our post. So that's why it provides us better viewability, and it's directly proportional to the viewability plus increasing the revenue. Fourth is, unless you are using any advanced CSS, always keep your ad in the middle of the page. Again, it will add to your viewability. Fifth, you should enable multi-size ad request, as AMP pages are catering over n number of screen sizes. So whether it's a portrait mode or it's a landscape mode, so you should enable multi-size ad request on your AMP pages. Next. Next is what are the best ad types you can have on your AMP pages. So first is avoid heavy creatives. For example, avoid any heavy video which needs to be rendered, or any heavy GIF file you want to render on the page, because AMP page will load very fast, and that will hamper the page speed. Plus, the viewability will not be that much good. Second is avoid interstitials, because AMP page is already inside the Google search carousel. If you are searching inside that, so if the interstitial will be there, so it will not give a user a good experience to browse your page. Third is optimize for the viewability. like you can see in the right hand side in the phone, we have placed the ads in between the content, but the viewability is really nice. We have provided good padding, made the ad in the center. That's why it's you should optimize your ads for the better viewability. Place any video content or any heavy ad which you want to place, which you need to place inside an amp page. So you can use, there are a lot of supported player list by amp project which is given. So you can use that supported players, or you can use amp iframe to display your video ads or the heavy ads inside your amp page. And last but not the least, implement native ads. The performance of native ads is very, very successful on AMP pages, and we have discovered it. So try to use native ads as more as possible on your AMP pages. Next. So as AMP being a new technology, we are the AMP is innovating new ads to provide better viewability and better engagement to the users. These are the most engaging ads, and you should surely implement it on your page. So first is ads in your AMP image carousel. So let's say if you're having a gallery page or you are having multi images inside your post. So you have to use AMP image carousel to display that, and you can use ads in between those image carousels. Second is AMP Lightbox. Again, a new invention, a new implementation of AMP. You can use ads inside your AMP Lightbox as well, and it looks really nice. The user experience is also really nice. And again, you can use sticky ads. It's a new tag given by AMP project. There is no need to write any single line of JavaScript for that. You just need to implement it using AMP sticky code. Next is flying carpet ad that you can see in the right hand side in the mobile. This is a very interactive format. It is, acquires very less space and displays more of an ad inside that space. And last is link ads. Link ads, you can put it between your content and below, above the fold of your heading or the post you are having, and the performance of these ads are really very nice. Next. Now, as Google keep on adding support for their new products, now you can also add double click ad codes in your AMP pages as well. So let's say if you're having great number of AMP page views and you have a campaign to run, now you can run it through double click on AMP pages with additional targeting. And I think this is a very great feature for the publishers, and a step to increase the monetization over AMP pages. Next. We have a quick case study of a publisher which has been working with the Readware streamer since very long. Divya Himachal is a non-news brand from North India. We have implemented PWA plus AMP for them, and the results are very exciting. Next. I would like to share some post-AMP and implementation analytics for Divya Himachal, and those are really, really phenomenal. We are seeing 26% AMP page views of overall monthly page views, and that is a very big number. That means we are generating 26% more revenue. Isn't it great? Also, around 70% of AMP page views are unique. That means new content is being discovered through AMP. And also, we are building a new audience. The average time spent on a page is more than a minute, which is extraordinary. Being in the news domain, if a user is spending this much time on a page, that means he's really enjoying your site, which shows how a fast opening page can increase our user engagement. So that's how AMP has been adding more value to the publishers and also providing better experience to the users. Next. Along with creating AMP and PWA for your domain, our experts can also help you to audit and optimize your advertising revenue on all the platforms. And as Google certified publishing partner, we help you with the double click ad exchange, Google AdSense, DFP, and YouTube ads revenue uplift. Thank you guys for joining. Please write us on the email ID, that is adsense@reader.com, for any queries. I would like to pass it on to Cyber Media for more on ads viewability.
Thanks, Vaibhav. Thanks for guiding us through your session. Hi, guys. I'm Rachit, and I'm the Publisher Monetization Specialist at Cyber Media. And I'll be taking you forward with ad viewability best practices while improving the revenue. Next slide, please. Understanding viewability. To begin with, let's understand what viewability for ads is. Viewability is an online advertising metric that aims to track only the impressions that can actually be seen by the user. What does that mean? Next slide, please. An ad served doesn't necessarily equal an ad viewed. The digital advertisers and publishers are catching on to this as an industry shifts, as the industry shifts towards valuing viewability. For example, if an ad is served at the bottom of the page, but the user does not scroll down to see it, ad is not counted as a viewable impression. Forward, I have listed 5 essential steps for improving the ad viewability and revenue. Next slide, please. Yeah, as the very first recommendation from my technical team to our publishers is start observing, talking, and measuring viewability scores. One always talks about RPM, ECPM, page views, and revenue to measure the success of a website, which is good. But it is time now to expand your vision to the other parameters, which can help you improve the revenue instantly. Guys, start measuring your viewability. Next slide, please. Point number 2, focus on user experience. Guys, let's look at this UI right in front of your screens, and it's really a messed one. What are your views about this kind of ads placement? Would a user like to visit this website again? User experience is the key to every website. As a publisher, user experience should be the top priority, be it the user interface, flow of the website, content of the website, or number of ads placed. Guys, we need to make sure while racing for higher monetization, too many ads placements kill the website. Better looking UI and clean user experience would make your ad space more valuable and viewable. Next slide, please. The best practice number 3, right ad placements. Ad placements and your website content needs to go hand in hand. We have observed that ad placements near the folds get better viewability. It improves CTR and yes, boosts the revenue. But again, fitting this blindly all across your website may not work for you. You need to understand the complete user interface to place the ads right. Putting too many ads or ads at irrelevant places disturbs your website visitors' experience. Excuse me. Next slide, please. Next action point number 4 is page speed. Guys, page speed is the key. In recent studies and research done, one of the key facts that has come out strongly is page speed will lead to more number of repeat visitors to your website. If your website loads faster, it's more likely to bring back the users on your website. Visitor would personally like to visit a website which loads faster so that he or she can consume more content in limited time period and be back again soon. Loading ads accordingly is certainly helping boosting revenue as well. So guys, page speed is directly proportional to the revenue. Next slide, please. Let me share an absolutely free and trustworthy source to test your mobile page speed. Testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com. Guys, please go forward and check your mobile, test your mobile speeds, and let us know your results. And even the recommendations would be shared how you can actually create or make your pages load faster. Next slide, please. For the next recommendation, let's learn by example. This is how a typically non-optimized page and ads load. What would happen to the viewability? What would be the viewability of the ad on the top of the page? What would be the viewability for the ad on the bottom of the page? Yes, we know it. How do we come over it? Next slide, please. Lazy loading is the answer. What does that mean? Serving ads only when it's necessary. For example, serving an ad towards the bottom of the page only when the user scrolls down the page. How does it help? Next slide, please. Let's look at this image again. Let's see the flow of the page. So at the top, ad at the top loads just after the content. That's a smart move number one. Viewability would be very high. As a publisher, I know I have plays at the bottom of the page, which get loaded and viewed only when the user scrolls down. Henceforth, this improves the viewability drastically for the ad unit at the bottom. Lazy loading can affect your viewability. If used properly, lazy loading can increase the overall viewability percentage for your website. In cases where a user didn't scroll down, for example, below the fold, ad slots never loaded the ads, and fewer requests were made. However, if the ad size is too large or loads too late, for example, when the user scrolls down faster, then the ads loads and user won't be able to view the ad. I would like to share a case study on how cyber media help uplift the ad viewability and revenue for a publisher. The case study today that I'm discussing about is for IBPS recruitment.in. The challenge was IBPS recruitment is a recruitment information portal providing details for banking and postal services employment opportunities. The client had a decent sized traffic, but the earnings were not proportionate. As a resultant to our effort, cyber media took this as a case for improvement, and within 3 months, the active viewability saw a growth of 56%. This is what we did. We recommended a new ad format, a better ad format. We noticed that there was already a 290 link unit that was placed on the website, but we replaced it with a responsive one. And we suddenly saw a viewability jump from 23% to 55% in 3 months. As the next set of recommendation, we did the right placement within the article. Next slide, please. And the next one. Next slide, please. Yeah, this one. You can go back, please. One slide. So we recommended the link ad units with the responsive ones, and we really saw the jump in the viewability from 23% to 55%. Next slide, please. The next recommendation that we did was right placement. Within the article, the publisher was using banner ads where the viewability was not more than 30%. This was replaced with a responsive link ad unit, and we saw the jump in viewability for around 50%. And more ad units were also added for a longer content or longer length of pages. Next slide, please. We also enabled lazy loading and removed non-performing ad units from the websites, which were towards the end of the page or end of the post and which were already dragging the viewability down. So this is the success story of IBPS recruitment.in, where the focus on active viewability held the revenue upliftment of 62% within 3 months. Next slide, please. Thank you guys for being a wonderful audience. Would be happy to assist you with your questions on viewability and improving your revenues with it. Please feel free to send an email on rachitm@cybermedia.co.in. Thank you guys. Over to you, Ajay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the wonderful presentations. Really a lot of things to learn for us today. Just before we jump into the Q&A, we've seen all the interesting questions that you sent us and the overwhelming responses that we've received. So just to recap on all the things that we've learned today, starting all the way from the top, native ads is the future for display advertising. Make sure you're trying native ads. You should not replace your high-performing banners with native ads. You need to use native as incremental to the banners. So make sure that you have banner ads and native ads. Make sure that the customization on the native ads is good. Make sure that you match it to the surroundings, match the font, match the color, match the flow. This is about native ads. The second is matched content for retention. As Rachit pointed out towards the end, they removed the low performing bottom of the page units because they were dragging down the viewability. We don't need to use those ad units because they're anyway dragging down the viewability. They're not performing. Change the low performing units to matched content. This will help increase retention, drive up page views. So now looking, the other suggestion is 300 cross 250 units, which is make sure that the 50% of the ad is always viewable in every viewport on the mobile. So this will make sure that your viewability is very good. Make sure that you implement AMP. I think Readware's solution around using AMP and PWA together is great. Make sure to explore these options. And as you saw in the case study, AMP will increase your page views, it will increase your retention, and it is incremental to what you already have. So make sure that you test both your generic page and your AMP page. AMP is the future, and if you want to make sure that you are getting the best user experience and the best retention, please make sure to use AMP. AMP plus native also works really well because that's a completely UX based solution which will give you great CPMs and great performance. We will share the deck with you. Please make sure to go back to your accounts and look at the 5 steps to measure your viewability. As Rachit pointed, lazy loading is very useful to make sure that you have good viewability and make sure that you are loading ads only when the user is going to see them and not when the user is not going to see them. Placement of the ads is very, very important, and this is going to really help drive up all the revenue, the active view, the eCPM and everything. And last but not least, seasonality. This is the season where advertisers are spending the most. The CPMs are good. Make sure that your content is updated. Make sure that your ads are refreshed. Make sure that you have all available formats because advertisers are spending for all the big sales, the big festivals, everything that's happening globally. To make sure that you can make the most out of the seasonality, please update all your units. Please refresh everything on your pages, update your content, make sure you're up to date with everything that's going on. Be on AMP, be on PWA, try native, and make sure you have the best viewability going forward. Now what we're going to do is we're going to quickly jump into some questions. One of the questions that we had received, and I think that our friends at Readware can take this one. What are the best practices to implement ads and AMP on Blogger?
See, as already explained in the slides, and I would like to call it again, that that we have covered the best practices in 3 different criterias. One is placements, and placement is to you should have separate ad units for your AMP page. Place the same number of ads which you have placed on your standard page, because that will help you to increase the revenue. Next is also place the ads in the above fold, like we have also explained that you can place a 300 by 250 ads above the fold, and you can also add link ads corresponding to your smaller sizes. Let's say a link ad below the image which you are using, or an image carousels you are using. Also keep in mind the viewability as well. Place your ads always in the middle of the page, and unless and until you are not using any advanced CSS media queries. And also give it a good space, good padding around your ad, so the viewability remains very specific inside that. Also keep in mind enable multi-size ad units, because AMP pages are going to be served on lots of screens, whether it's in portrait mode or the landscape mode. So enable multi-size ad request while placing the ads on the AMP page.
Okay, thank you. There is a question around, are native ads better performing than banner ads? I think that we touched upon this point during our presentation, and I'd like to say that please use native plus banner, not just native, because we would like for everybody to have both options. We do not want to affect your earnings, but we're telling you that the future is native. Most of the ad revenue is coming from going to come from native in the future. The future of display advertising is native. Next question. There's another question on is apps the real future? I think our friends at Readware told us that you can have a progressive web app, you can have an app-like experience for your website. So please make sure that you explore that option as well. The next question that I think this is more relevant to our friends at Cybermedia. What are some of the tips that you would give to improve viewability on mobile pages? What are the
Yeah.
top 2 tips?
Yeah. Thanks, Ajay. Well, guys, we have covered this a lot during our session, and Ajay has given a very detailed explanation and made some very efficient points around it. But my following, my 2 cents on the same would be, uh, let's work on improving the page speed for your mobile website. This is a very key essential with more than 70% of the traffic nowadays coming on your mobile website. Please work on the improving your page speed. The second recommendation from, or the best tip from my end would be, right ad placement and ad types. You can use, uh, start using the link ads. They have good CTR and high viewability. You can start using the in-feed ads. And the third would be natives are certainly catching up and delivering great results. So yes, these would be, the key pointers from my end.
Okay. What are the best practices to when implementing ads on AMP? Any suggestions and tips? Readware guys, can you?
Sure. So, while we are implementing ads on AMP pages, as the AMP page is really loads very fast, so we should take care of 2 3 things. Don't put any heavy creatives inside your AMP pages. You should also avoid interstitials to place between them, and optimize your ads for the viewability, as mentioned before as well by Ajay and from Rajit as well. Optimize for the viewability, place your ads with proper padding in the center of the page so that the viewability rate is very high, and user may be able to view the ad properly. Also, implement native ads as recommended. As Ajay mentioned again and again, don't replace it with the banner ads, but try to place native ads inside your content, or with providing it a better viewability. Also, as mentioned again, place the ads above the view fold, so that place a good ad like 300 by 250 ad above the view fold in the very first scroll of your page, below the story, below the heading of your content, or below any in the first scroll. So these are the best practices you can use, and there are new innovation ads which has been launched by product.org. You can go to their site and view. There are lots new innovative ads like flying carpet ad, and light box and image carousel ads. You should implement those in your resources inside your page, because these are the very rich experience ads, and users will coming to your site will find it really engaging.
And I thank you for that. I just think that one of the looking at the questions that we have here, we will specifically share with all the people who have reached out to us regarding Blogger with our help friends from Readware. Probably a quick n- document on the best practices as well. We will send this across to you by the end of this week. One of the things that I think that we'd like to call out is that we have a lot of questions around what is can AMP and PWA really help improve revenue and page rank? Um, we would definitely say that user experience and page speed are big contributors to calculating page rank. So if you have a good page speed and if you have good UX, your page rank will automatically improve. If your page rank automatically improves, your traffic improves. If your traffic improves, and if you have the right kind of implementations and retention strategy in your site, the user will stay longer. And as we saw in the case study, the average time the user was spending on a news site where the retention is very low, it was almost a minute, which means that this only goes to show that if you improve the user experience and have the right retention strategy and the right ad placement, you will make the most out of it. The best places to place your native ads is another question that we have just received. That native in article should be right in between the article. Make sure that it's centered to the screen. More than the position, the placement is very important, but I think the customization is as important as well, which means you need to make sure that it is customized. You need to make sure that like the font matches, the color matches, the call to action button is clearly standing out. As we showed you in the example as well, the CTR is going up and the revenue is definitely improving. And as everybody mentioned over here, native ads are definitely catching up. Any I think Rachit, if you could repeat the 5 checklists that you had for viewability. I think there is a question around what are the 5 things you would recommend, the 5 checklists that you have for viewability, please.
The first is start measuring the viewability. That's an important factor. Please start talking about the viewability and see its scores week on week. Just like you see how the page eCPMs, how are the page views doing for you. Start measuring the viewability as well. The second point was focus on the user experience. Guys, user is the king, right? Make sure that your website flow, your content, and everything falls in line. Because this is your ad space, this is your website, you need to make it more valuable. Remove those unwanted ad units. They are anyway not performing for you. The third best practice would be right ad placements. Make sure you are placing, the website, the ads near to the folds. They are getting better CTRs all the more. And natives and other ad formats are definitely catching up as well. The third point that I mentioned was about the page speed. Page speed is the key. The better the page speed, better the revenues are. As we have seen during the presentation as well, the recent studies have shown the results how a good page speed can actually get you more revenue. But the last point that I mentioned was about lazy loading. So guys, you need to load ads when they're always requested to. You don't need to unnecessarily load the ads when they're not even requested to. So you can enable lazy loading for your website. What does that mean? Let's suppose you have ad placed at the top of your page and another ad unit placed at the bottom of the page. When the first page when in the first frame, you would see that only the ad at the top. By default, if the ad at the bottom is loaded, the viewability for that will be very rock bottom in that zone. So it's better to load the ad at the bottom only when the user scrolls to the bottom of the page. This would actually help your page speed to be improved and your viewability to be better as well.
Thank you, Rachit. I think we have time for 2 more questions, and there's never going to be a session if there is no question about ad blocker, I guess. So taking this forward, ad blocker is basically a symptom of having users implement ad blockers because the ads are too intrusive. If you make your ad implementation suit the user experience, the flow of the user, people will stop implementing ad blockers. So please make sure that you make the ads less intrusive, make sure that they're positioned well, use good quality native ads, and make sure everything is smooth in terms of user flow. And from all the suggestions that we gave here on native ads, mobile optimization best practices, AMP, PWA viewability, these are things that can really help improve your CPM, improve your performance. And this is high seasonality, guys, for the next 2 months. Make sure that you make the most out of the seasonality. Go look up Google Trends, see what are the trending topics around the world, see what is trending in your specific vertical, see how you can make the most out of this seasonality. Having said this, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Just a quick announcement here is that on the 30th, we are having another Hangout on Air. All of you would have received an invite to the Hangout on Air, which is around policy. And policy best practices, which will be very useful. For the first time, we're going to be doing this hangout in two parts. The first session is in English at 12 noon on the 30th, and the second session is at 3:30, which is going to be in Hindi. So if you are interested, or if you know any friends or publishers who want to join, please ask them to log back in on the 30th, and we will definitely, we've already sent everybody the invite. Thanks again, guys, for joining us in this session. It has
Just a quick update here, guys. Thanks, Ajay. Just a quick update that the policy session is actually on 31st. So the time is the same as Ajay mentioned, but it's just on Tuesday, which is 31st October.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, it's on the 31st. Anyway, thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us, and hope you have a great evening.